On moves up, silver tends in terms of percentage gains to outperform gold. Reciprocally, when they're in a corrective period, when they're moving to lower prices, the opposite is true. You get silver outperforming or having a greater drawdown in a percentage basis than you do gold. Now, we're still seeing that, but
Yeah,
they have really uncoupled in
that's
terms
right.
of what we've seen recently, in which silver has just taken off and I believe is playing catch up to gold's move to the all-time record high. And the precious metals have been something that have moved up over time, but they're moving consistently higher. They went parabolic, as I said, beginning in August of 2025 up to about October of 25, and then had a very, very minute correction. And the correction was really from 4,200 down to 3,900, so a couple of $100 after moving up from 3,300. So it gave back about 20% of the gains, and that was the last leg of this extended rally.
Silver is once again demonstrating its historical tendency to outperform gold on upside moves, particularly when measured on a percentage basis. Wagner notes that while silver often experiences deeper pullbacks during corrective phases, recent market action shows a clear decoupling, with silver accelerating sharply as it plays catch-up to gold's move to new all-time highs. The broader precious metals trend remains firmly bullish. Gold and silver have been advancing steadily over time, with momentum turning parabolic between August and October 2025. During that period, gold surged from roughly $3,300 to $4,200, followed by only a modest correction to the 3,900 level. This pullback retraced approximately 20% of the final leg of gains, signaling strength rather than weakness. Gary Wagner, veteran commodities analyst and editor of thegoldforecast.com, explains the shifting dynamics between gold and silver prices. According to Wagner, the shallow correction underscores strong underlying demand. With silver now accelerating after lagging gold, the current phase of the rally suggests renewed upside potential across the precious metals complex rather than the end of the trend. Now, we present the clips from Gary Wagner's interview. Before we continue to discuss this, please subscribe to our channel, The Metal Moves, and activate the bell icon for timely updates.
Basis the most active February futures contract. That's what we're looking at here. We're currently 43.10. My sentiment is with about 2 weeks left in the year, I would not be surprised for gold to challenge the all-time record closing price above 43.70. And now we're only about $60 away. So it's not a huge stretch to see gold move another $60 in 2 weeks. Could be much higher considering that today alone, gold moved up about, $51 or 1.2%. So we could see that very achievable by the end of the year, or sooner, especially after today's huge breakout in both gold and silver. Obviously, as far as gold is concerned, the first level of any kind of technical resistance comes at the all-time record high, and that is roughly 43.70. It's different for silver because silver is at all-time record highs. And like gold, when gold was trading back in September, all the way up to October the 20th, when it hit the all-time record high and closing price, it could easily catch back up to that. Silver's a different story because we're in uncharted territory, as we were in gold, which is very close to current prints on the dollar. How that will affect gold and silver, there's obviously a completely inverse relationship between dollar strength and gold weakness, 100% correlation, but they tend to move in opposing directions, obviously, because both the gold and silver are paired against the dollar, so that's going to happen. We have typically seen both of them move in tandem. However, on moves up, silver tends in terms of percentage gains to outperform gold. Reciprocally, when they're in a corrective period, when they're moving to lower prices, the opposite is true. You get silver outperforming or having a greater drawdown in a percentage basis than you do gold. Now, we're still seeing that, but
Yeah,
they have really uncoupled in
that's
terms
right.
of what we've seen recently, in which silver has just taken off and I believe is playing catch up to gold's move to the all time record high. And that occurred quite some time ago because that occurred during the last couple of weeks of October. And silver was relatively flat at that point in terms of gains, and then silver took off with a mind of its own. Let's say it definitely is outperforming gold in terms of percentage gains, and now that it is at a new all-time record high, it becomes more difficult to peg where silver could go. We're making assumptions as to where it might go by the end of the year, where it might go next year. But these are assumptions because as a market technician, we have no data at how silver performed above $60. Simply put, it's never been here before. And so because of that, it makes it much more difficult to really predict where it would go. Although I do believe it's possible that we will see silver continue to move up. We could see it move really as high as 68. That's a tremendous push, but I believe that is within the possibility of probabilities by the end of the year. Gold is just trying to play catch up to the former all-time record high because it is below that now. And I believe that both gold can try to recapture the all-time record high. And I believe that silver, as hot as it's running, doesn't appear to show any signs of letting up. We could see higher prices as we go into the end of the year. There's still time left. We've got 20 days left in this year. So a lot could happen. And I believe that the precious metals as a complex will remain strong. They will not give up much of what they have captured. And I would not be surprised to see silver close out the year at an all-time record high above current pricing, and gold to recapture the all-time record high that it hit and has gone to an all-time record high. We will continue to see it move higher until it doesn't. And the first indication of that might come by the end of the year. But at the same time, I expect the precious metals to remain strong, to remain above certain target levels. I think that there is more room on the upside in silver. I think that gold could attempt to recapture the record highs of October, but that's still to be seen. But I believe that those are very much possibilities because we are seeing such a interest in that asset class, and the volume has been strong. It has returned in gold. It has increased in silver. And for that reason, I think that we, as you put it, we could see it sell off, and that is a possibility. But I also believe that there's a very strong possibility that it will remain above the opening price at the beginning of the month. It closed much higher. And you can see that really starting in January, we had a couple of months with very large moves, January, March, and then we had an acceleration back in September. That was the largest monthly move. But we've had strong moves. I wouldn't call this parabolic, although we can, of course, compress the chart, but it still isn't. Parabolic would be almost a right angle up. This is as strong as we have seen. The last time we saw gold run like this was back in '08. And you can see that's when gold ran from 811 up to 1800. And if you look at the tact or the angle, the slope of this ascent, it is very similar to the slope that we're seeing now. So the one thing that we can say is that we haven't seen gold move in this manner long-term on a monthly basis since 2008. We know where that ended, middle of 2011, 2012, and that was with a record top at that time at about 1800. So we could have more room to go, but at any moment, a correction would be warranted. We haven't really seen gold correct since October of 23 on a monthly chart, with the exception of September, November, and December, of 2024. We've pretty much seen it move straight up. It's consolidated a couple of times, but we've had no real corrections as we saw in March 2022. Again, this is a long-term monthly chart, and which it corrected until November 2022. So this is an unusual territory. A lot of it has to do, of course, with the dollar itself. That has been under pressure. But most importantly, there is a genuine shift to the asset class of the precious metals because many investors believe that there's an opportunity. We've seen that. Has it played out yet? I'm going to say that it could be close to the top, but that as well as Tom DeMark's idea of what we call sequential nines. Both of them look for potential tops and bottoms based on numerical observation. And I do think that what we're seeing is obviously an extremely overbought market. But then we have to go back to the fundamentals because technicals are a way to mathematically explain what's actually going on in the environment. And as I said, the potential for dollar weakness exists greatly, and continued dollar weakness, that's going to be supportive of the metals. Doesn't mean they'll move up, because if there's enough selling pressure, you can get either a period of consolidation or a downtick. This is a rather large rally when you consider that back in March of 2024, gold was at just above 2,000. We have more than doubled that in a very, very short period of time. But if you look back historically, and I'm looking at a chart back to really 2005, and gold's at 425, and then moves pretty much straight up to 1,800, we have seen that happen, but at much lower pricing. So to answer your question is, are we at a top? We have no technical evidence of that, but I think it was one of the Fed chiefs that said trees don't grow to the sky. They never have, they never will. He was talking about interest rates, and the same can be said for gold. There's going to be an upper limit in which it just becomes so overbought that traders look to see a lower pricing and corrections, especially on a move that we have seen on a long-term basis, because what I'm looking at is a monthly chart. Even if we go to a weekly chart, it looks even more extreme. From about 1,800 to 4,300, it's pretty much gone up without any really strong corrections. So it wouldn't surprise me to see the price correct, but currently we don't have evidence of that.
Gold and silver are closing the year with remarkable momentum. Based on the February futures contract, gold is trading around 4,210, just shy of its all-time record, close near $4,370. With daily gains recently exceeding $50, Wagner believes that gold could challenge its record high before year-end. Silver has been the standout performer. Historically, silver outperforms gold on percentage gains during rallies and underperforms during corrections. Recently, silver has broken out of its previous range, moving above $60 and effectively playing catch-up to gold's record highs. Wagner notes that silver could potentially reach $68 before the year ends, though this remains unprecedented territory. Despite being technically overbought on long-term charts, both metals remain strongly supported by dollar weakness, investor demand, and continued bullish momentum. While corrections are possible, the overall trend favors higher prices into year-end and beyond. Share your thoughts on his analysis in the comment section below. If you find this video informative, please support and turn on notifications to stay informed about our latest videos.